the super secret resource no one explicitly talks about. Happy Saturday. I originally was not going to make this video because I feel relatively guilty making videos that could easily just be a bulleted list. There's plenty of articles already on this topic, but frankly, it's been a busy week and I have struggled to come up with a better video idea. So here is a essential list of tools, and by tools I mean computer tools, that you need during your career in investment banking. A bigger reason why I'm making this video is because I've had a lot of comments asking for, Ryan, what are some skills or apps or applications, apps and applications are the same thing, that I could practice before I go into a career, or that I could put on my resume to make my candidacy look better? And I've always answered it with, you can learn it on the job. That answer still stays the same for me. I think the best way to learn anything is on the job, or when there's a assignment that you have to do through that application, rather than learning something solely for the sake of learning. But I'm trying to change my life philosophy on that recently, learning a lot of things just to learn. I'll shut up now. Here are the essential tools. The first three, PowerPoint, Word, Excel, are what I like to call the best friends. You have to have these, and they're gonna be your partner, companion for your banking career, for any career if you are living in the digital age. In banking specific terms, everything quantitative largely will be done on Excel. Large sets of ERP data, financial modeling of LBOs and DCFs, putting together a buyer backup for M&A transactions. When you have anything data related that you need to record, quantify, calculate, analyze, Excel is your best friend. It's not an exaggeration when people say banking is just you being on Excel and being a PowerPoint monkey. Obviously it's bigger than that, and you would like to think that our jobs are more meaningful than that, which it is, but if we're talking about what we're literally doing, you're doing a lot of your work in Excel and PowerPoint. Word is kind of in your secondary best friend category. You know, the ones that you hit up if your first set is busy. That makes me seem like a bad friend. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. Use Word a lot for logistics, information, note-taking. In the older days, they used to do SIMs, confidential information memorandums, on Word. Now they do it on PowerPoint. Bottom line, PowerPoint, Word, Excel, very, very important. I would assume that most of you viewers, being students, potentially in college, you're using these applications on the daily, if not have had classes on these applications. I wouldn't go crazy on preparing yourself in learning how to use these applications. What you're learning now through daily practice for schoolwork and through classes is probably enough, but I would focus on trying to learn Excel shortcuts if you have free time, just because it makes work faster. Following your set of three best friends, you kind of have this acquaintance that we know as Adobe Acrobat or PDF viewer. This is the guy or gal that you don't go to on a daily or every second basis, but you're gonna open up. I'm probably gonna ditch this friend analogy thing. You use PDF a lot as well. And unlike school, where a lot of the times you use PDF for is to turn your Word resume into a PDF resume and send it over, or view textbooks that you've probably illegally downloaded, Adobe Acrobat is actually a very dynamic application that you could use to edit documents, reorder documents, redact documents, sign documents. So getting familiarized with Adobe, strangely, might be a learning curve. I don't know if this is the case for all banks, but at least at my bank, only the analysts have the access to the pro account. So a lot of the times, higher level beings are I don't mean God. People in your deal teams that are higher than you are going to send you something and say, Brian, can you quickly reorder the order of the pages in this PDF document because you're the one with pro account. It's not hard, but it's something that we're not really used to doing during college, at least personally. Adobe. Also important to note that during diligence and a lot of data sharing activities, whether it be audited documents or company structure papers, many documents, if not most, that are very official in that level are in PDF. So very good to familiarize yourself with Adobe Acrobat. And lastly, kind of in this friend category, I know I said I'm going to ditch the analogy, but by friend I mean things you interact with and use. Well, you shouldn't use your friends, but I'll stop. Outlook, the email client, there's different intricacies of email that you need to learn how to use, like sending an invite, making sure the time zone is correct, knowing how to insert tables in emails or bulleted lists, being organized within your email, learning different macros that categorize emails coming from various senders, or if an email is sent directly to you or a group, making sure you know how to use rules and such that automatically classify priority items versus things you could get to in an hour rather than now. I first thought it was a joke when we had a training on Outlook best practices, but so much of your job is on email. I always forget the statistic, but some crazy amount of time in any job is spent on email, and Outlook typically is the go-to client for business jobs, definitely in banking. Surprising essential tool, Outlook, the last part of the friends category. These next set of folks aren't your friends. Well, they're all your friends. Everyone, we're all friends. These are more databases. This is where you go to get information as opposed to you dynamically interacting with it to create something. I'm actually gonna revert on that in my very next example and say that that's wrong, but you'll see what I mean. Number one, something that I use the most probably is CapIQ. It's a database of all companies ever. Obviously, there are companies missing in the database, but most companies that you could possibly think of, it's on there. Obviously, some with very complete information, example, public companies, some with very limited information, a lot of the private companies, but it's your best bet at taking a first stab at looking at different companies, company information, financials, recent M&A activity, filings, business descriptions, so on and so forth. It's very well developed. There's different IDs that correspond with different companies. You can use Excel plugins to pull in data and rerun information so that the information can be kept live and dynamic within the CapIQ website. And this is where I am reverting on what I said before. You could actually also build charts and create screens and export lists in Excel based on different search criteria. So for example, if you're going to look at M&A activity in the computer space for the last year, you just plug in different criteria. So last year, US, keyword computer, and then it'll output a list of different M&A transactions that matches those criteria. You can also create charts based on stock performance, index, market cap. Those are all kind of the same thing. You get my point. Very, very great database, dynamic website, and the company that you work for will definitely provide you with login credentials. These next set of databases, I'm not going to highlight individually because they're relatively self-explanatory and they all kind of do similar things. PitchBook, Merger Market, Bloomberg Market. All these are databases of different things like debt rates, M&A news, gossip, rumors, different company information, analyst reports, analyst coverage, industry insight reports. They're basically very highly concentrated search engines that hold massive amounts of data, typically in PDF. And how this applies to your job on a daily basis. Typically, managers will ask you, hey, can you pull this information from this database? So when you need expert information, industry coverage, potential M&A news, that doesn't come from internally within your firm and they need expertise. They're going to ask you to pull these reports. A lot of times go through them and pull out relevant information that's necessary for the deliverable or the meeting or to make it seem like we know what we're talking about. The moment you've all been waiting for, the super secret resource that no one explicitly talks about, my secret weapon, every bank's secret weapon, which in turn makes it not a secret because everyone uses it. But drum roll, please. It's Google. You gotta be freaking good at Googling. Good at Googling. Good at Googling. So much of what we know is the fact that we think something exists, therefore go look for it. A little shout out to my calling out the internet video that didn't do very well. A lot of times, especially in banking, you're gonna be required to figure something out that hasn't been done yet by people in your team, people in the firm. And the only way to do it is to look it up. You think that, anyone can Google. We've been Googling our entire career if we are born in the late 90s, 2000s. But there are certain things that makes Googling easier or better, like using quotes to get precise things searched for, or keywords that work better than others. I'm not saying research how to Google better. Well, you can, but just wanted to highlight that answers might not be right in front of you. You're going to need to adapt, customize based on whatever is necessary. Thanks for watching this probably very boring video that could really just be a bulleted punch list. I will return next week with a much more insightful, personable, fun video. See y'all soon.